Alright, how's everybody doing? Brian from Garage Mahal. Got some computer work going on here. But today we are working on a Lincoln Navigator, and we are replacing the CV axle, which the customer's complaint has been clunking a little bit. So let me grab my gloves. Now, I had replaced the passenger side, so now we're going to be doing the driver's side, and you do have to take a lot of stuff apart. Not a lot, but you know, enough to kind of get in there and get it taken care of. Main thing is you got to watch this axle nut. A lot of sites will tell you that this needs to be on here at 220 pounds, foot-pounds of torque, but if you noticed, that's a standard axle nut that you would find. This is the one that you put at 200 some pounds. This little guy, believe it or not, 20 to 22 foot-pounds is all that's required. So you can see the difference of a regular axle nut. Anyway, so just be aware, because if you try to torque that down anywhere past like 100 pounds, you are going to strip those threads right out on that. All right, you got to take some stuff apart. Mainly, to make it easier, I like to take the brake caliper off, just to make sure you can get in there and have enough clearance for everything. I think that's an 18 probably. Now, I had previously taken this apart for this customer, so I've done a lot of suspension work on this. Replaced this, the lower control arm, so everything should come apart pretty easy. My best advice would be to make sure that you lube everything up pretty well with WD-40. And I did loosen a lot of these ahead of time to make things a little bit easier and to move faster on this project. And I always like using my toys just for the sake of moving fast. I don't like making long videos. One, who's got the time? And two, it gets boring if you're watching a video that's going too long. All right, let's remove that. That's a 10. Yeah. So you want to move these lines out of your way. I said I did oh, that's a rare sight nowadays. Nitro gloves are finally coming back in stock in some stores. Alright, gives a little bit more room in there. I love these magnetic trays. Alright, let's get in here. Okay. A little bit more. Okay. There we go. I've seen some guys where they've actually not taken this all apart, but that is really sticking on there. Alright, and we got to take this, do a whole complete brake change out. But T45 is what this is on the inside here to get this all loosened up. Okay. In the essence of time, old Milwaukee. Alright. I hate those things. Anyway. A little prying. Okay. Any brake caliper hanger. Alright, so let's get this little guy out of the way. And again, essence of time. There's that little bolt. All right, let's get this bracket off. Got your bracket. Pull your rotor off. Put that right there. Now that is another little Allen key setting. So, go to 5. And definitely disconnect this little speed sensor, because one, you're gonna need the slack, and two, you don't want that to get broken. Now, it usually slips out pretty easy, but just let that hang out of the way. Make sure you don't lose this little spacer clip. That all up there. So you got this out of the way. Now you got to get this piece, the axle nut itself, off. Which I believe it's a 14 millimeter. Yep. So this has 55 pounds of torque, and that pretty well loosened that up nice and easy. So like I said, it doesn't take a lot. Don't you hate when you're... There we go. That broke loose. I'll put that there. So usually you can't push that with your finger, but in this case that's pretty loose. So next is you want to loosen this top upper control arm, and this you are going to need a little bit of a trick. It's a 22 millimeter, but you're also going to need a wobble piece on this. 2 air wrench. When you tighten that back up, you're going to need a 10mm wrench on that to hold that everything into place. And then you have just enough clearance. Pull that out. Then we can get the new one on. And this takes a special little nut. What I mean by that, the 12mm, but it's not your standard piece. It has to have all these little star fittings in that. Position each one. And they fall all the time, so let's grab another magnetic tray. Twisting the axle around. Compressor's finally off. And I loosened this one before. We'll just take that out by hand. Let's see if I can make this a little bit easier. Everybody and myself. Put a little extension on that. one. All right, and that's the old one. And actually, if you take this apart, this piece becomes an excellent pen holder, but I'll show it in another video. All right. Here's a new nut. You can see why I took all the cabling down, so you can maneuver this in around everything. All right. Fun part is lining this up so you can get some of these screws back in place. Ideally, if you got a buddy or somebody that can help you out, awesome, but you can do it yourself. All you have to do is start a little bit. Just enough to hold it so it doesn't slip like that. Okay. And you can start adding one by one. All right, left off, depending on how I edited the video, this is the CV Axle actuator, big fancy word, and basically what this part does is it's going to basically put that gear and connect it automatically so you can make good contact with that drive gear there. Okay, so anyway, you definitely need that part to make this whole thing function properly, and this has to come out. So that's that piece right there, and you can tell how that one was broken on that. And then that will connect your hub bearing with your CV. Get that all kind of lined up and back in there. Okay, and there we go. That should line up with that, and that should go in there, and that should make a good, better fit. I'm going to change these gloves. Love these, but sometimes you need more of a touchy-feely kind of grip. These were those little 8mm pieces for the actuator. And I know on all of these models, these axle actuators, they don't last. They break down. These things are, as you can tell, mostly plastic and rubber, so I think it was 8, yep, 8 mil. I think we'll delicately use the old Milwaukee. Okay. All right. Alright, then as soon as you get that axle nut in there, it will draw that in. Then you have your contact. And obviously we'll torque that to the 22 pounds when we get her down on the ground. But this is 65 pounds. Okay. Okay, now we can put this bracket on. Don't reconnect all these cables. Alright, so that's in. Next we'll put the brake caliper back on. Alright, these retaining clips. Best way I figured out how to get these in. If you want to get in that notch, have it slide up that way. And then when you're pulling it in on this bottom one, you want to basically push it back and it should lock into place. Let's move it around a little bit so it finds its sweet spot. And then boom, you're done. Alright, so that's basically it. And next thing, we just got to tighten up this little lock nut on the bottom and then get pressure to the actuator so it locks in, and then we are completely done with this project. Anyhow, that is how you put in a new CV axle, new actuator, without having to take the front tie rod off to mess up the alignment. And then the only tricky part was undoing this upper control arm. Other than that, that's it in a nutshell. All right, Brian from Garage Mahal. Thanks for watching and subscribing. All right, the last thing is going to be the axle nut. Like I said, unlike most vehicles, this one I set it for, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. I set it for 21 pounds, 22 pounds. 20 to 22 pounds is what I asked for, which is like nothing, but anyway, hear that clicking? So we're at it. Okay, and other than that, make sure you torque your lug nuts out. And last thing on that lock nut. Make sure that you feel it draw it in. Ideally, what I try to do is do it with the wheel off, and you want to put a pry bar on the lug nuts, and maybe have somebody hold the axle itself on the inside with a socket, and then you want to torque it out, and you'll see it draw in. You want to make sure it draws into that axle seal so that all the gears line up. Otherwise, you're going to have slippage. And you know you've done it right is if you take the wheel back off, you spin the hub. The hub should lock in by default to that axle. Anyway, just keep that in mind. Anyway, Brian from Garage Mahal. That's it on this this Navigator. Hope this helps everybody out there. Any questions or comments, please leave them below. And thank you for liking, subscribing, and viewing. Have a great day. Be safe.